Hello, everyone. Um, Today I tried to catch up on my internet life, and I saw a bunch of tweets with my name tagged in them, and I saw my YouTube subscriptions feed, and saw a couple PMs, and I decided today would be a good day to explain why we shouldn't diagnose people online. Because I saw a lot of, oh, this girl's obviously borderline because of the way she just, attacks her former friends, and this person is narcissistic, and this person over here is a psychopath, and these people over here are obviously autistic because of their socio-political views, and that's not the way it works. And I understand that there is a nuance to the way that people will use these words. They don't really mean the actual disorder sometimes. They're not going by the book here. They're going by basically what they think is a personality trait. So there's a maybe a misunderstanding of the severity of the words that they're using. But I'm going to give you today the reasons why we shouldn't be diagnosing people online. Reason number one: professionals in the mental health field don't base a diagnosis online or solely on third-party video because it severely increases the chance for a misdiagnosis. Even those people who use one-on-one internet interaction like Skype and special services where they telecommute to work in order to interview suicidal people, say in a emergency room, because there's only one psychologist for the whole town and they serve all of the hospitals, and they have to be in many places at once. Those people are trained to do what they do differently than what would be said in this book. Okay, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. They have a different bit of criteria that they go by, and they also take into consideration observations by people in person, say like nurses and stuff, and they confer with them. So the second reason why we don't diagnose people online, that would be that the medium that we're communicating across shifts criteria values. If I were to text you a very mean text, you wouldn't try to diagnose me based on my texting history, you know, because people speak in a different way when they're texting, and they also speak in a different way when they make YouTube videos. They normally put their best foot forward, or they try to seem angrier or more confident than they really are in real life. You don't really see who they are when they're trying to put on this mask. So the criteria that you would use for a one-on-one interview is not the same as what you would use for reviewing somebody's communications across the internet in videos or in YouTube comment sections where people feel that anonymity removes their all of their inhibition, and so they can just say whatever they want in the YouTube comment section. You wouldn't diagnose people who leave YouTube comments the same way that you would diagnose someone that you would interview one-on-one. Number three, the third thing that you should see as a reason why we don't diagnose people online is that you don't have the whole picture of someone's life. If you were to take me, for example, you might see me as a lonely guy who has a whole bunch of books behind him who likes to criticize other people's videos. And that's just not the whole me. On Friday, I'm going to an MMA event. On Sunday, I get to see the Steelers and the Broncos playoff game. every week I meet 20 to 50 people for at least 5 minutes, and they learn my name. Um, I live with a girlfriend. I have two dogs, but what do I do to make videos? I come to this very quiet room in the house where I have less distractions and interruptions. So I look like just a lonely guy with a bunch of books behind him with a big leather couch. And so if that's all you're basing your opinion on, then you're not seeing the whole picture. Fourth reason why you don't diagnose people online: argumentum ad hominem, and sometimes argumentum ad misericordiam. I'm going to say misericordiam. I've never learned to pronounce that word. But basically, it means trying to get people to pity others and saying that you are right because there's no way that they could possibly understand that you're using sound logic and reason and you're bringing the best argument that you could possibly bring, and they just still can't understand because those poor people afflicted with autism just can't get over their stubbornness, and they can't accept the truth of your words because they are impaired, and it's an appeal to pity them. Last reason that I will leave you with, number 5. Rarely are we educated enough to make a diagnosis online. You probably don't see any PhD candidates using these tactics in order to prove that they are right on the internet. Rarely are the people who want to diagnose people online, rarely are they educated enough to draw from enough experience and education to make the diagnosis. Most of the time, they just disagreed with a person online, and their hypochondria led them to look it up on WebMD and saw, wow, there might be a correlation to this person's disagreeing with me with this diagnosis and this diagnosis and this diagnosis, and what flavor of the month do I want to use now? So, moving on, I'm going to give you my 3 favorite, I guess, most seen instances of misdiagnosing people online. Number 1, narcissism. And the reason why this is often a misdiagnosis is because people don't take into consideration how the medium shifts criteria values. Somebody who makes a video every day in order to have millions of people see them is not necessarily a narcissist if that's their job. You know, there's a different shifting of criteria here, and you wouldn't use the same criteria that is for interviews as you would just looking at people's videos when they're getting millions of views. That doesn't make them a narcissist. Number 2, autism spectrum disorder. People saying basically that the stubbornness that is associated with autism, where you would expect someone with autism to not even want you to change the channel at the wrong time because that's not what we watch at this time. That's not what we watch at this time, and that kind of stubbornness to be present in an autism a person on the autism spectrum, but you wouldn't really be right in saying that everyone who disagrees with you is autistic. They just have a different perspective on that subject, maybe, or you aren't explaining yourself very well. And number 3, body gesture reading. Sometimes people who maybe watched the TV show Lie to Me like to think that they can do some body gesture reading on people and say that a certain grimace or lack of a smile for more than 3 seconds at a certain time in a video tells them something. And what I have to say about that is, if somebody were to go by the book about body gesture reading, they would also want to have a complete workup of that person's history, and they would want to have more of one-on-one interpersonal communication with that person in order to diagnose them with certain things, such as maybe trying to say that somebody who looks down and to the right is lying because they're activating the creative part of their brain, and so they must be lying. Whereas, say if it were me, for example, and I were speaking about my job, I might be associating a person or experience with somebody who I know to be a manipulative, lying person. And somebody would want to know that about me before making a diagnosis of whether or not I was being deceitful based on the movement of my eyes. Because there are nuances to all sorts of diagnosing criteria. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please, people, stop calling each other all sorts of names from a book that you might not even understand.